Hello and welcome to the TechBytes audiocast. My name's Tim and I'm from the TechBytes blogazine, and with me is Dr. Roy Shestowitz from the TechBytes website.
It's Friday night and I'm gonna get sauce. I fought the troll and the troll lost. I fought the troll and the troll lost. He tried to boss me and was outbossed. I fought the troll and the troll lost. I fought the troll and the troll lost. Underneath his creeper bridge, hoping goats will cross. Quoting Ashcroft.
Welcome everyone to the 68th episode of TechBytes. Today's the 14th of July 2012, and of course this is a Saturday, and it's been a while since we did the previous episode. I think it's been at least a month since the last time. I'd like to begin by explaining the reason we haven't actually done a show in a while. It's basically Tim's got two kids now. He never really had much time to do the show since the birth of his second child, in fact my goddaughter. And even though we did try to squeeze some time in, currently we are at least trying to produce some shows, because there is no reason in principle for us not to put out the shows, except for the fact we struggle to find the right time to do so. So Tim is going to be back on the show as soon as he has the time. In the meantime, since I've promised Richard Stallman basically to be on the show on some time, probably over the next 2 days, I do want to try and kick things off a bit. I will try and cover a few topics on my own today. There is no intention of having any guests today on the show. The main reason being, in fact, Tim is still the person who's going to do the show with me, as always. It's a show of both of us. It's just a matter of trying to get both of us online at the same time right now. So what are we going to cover today? Well, I was going to mention a few things we haven't, in fact, been touching since the last time we actually did a recording. One of those things is a very profound impact to the Linux world, of great interest obviously to the show, because this is what we essentially cover. The Android sales, for example, that has reached something like, well, based on the activation, we're talking about nearly 1 million devices sold per day or activated per day. So depending on the definition of activation, and I think upgrades also counts as an activation. So you do in fact see a great decrease in the number of all kinds of other operating systems, perhaps Blackberries and things. iPhone and iOS seems to be growing, but Android is growing faster, and it seems as though Apple is quite nervous about it, because based on the amounts of lawsuits they file and the amounts of bans and embargoes they try to impose on makers of Android devices, notably Samsung, HTC, and Motorola, there is some indication that in fact Apple is, feeling the pinch in some sense, or looking ahead in terms of time and seeing, things are looking quite competitive from the point of view of, Linux versus Apple. Essentially, Apple doesn't like competition so much and never really liked competition so much. It does like to cooperate with Microsoft when it suits the goals of Apple and the duopoly, but okay, well, that's what Apple is intending to do, and I'm going to cover it, I suppose, in the second part of the show. I've been writing about it a great deal in TechBytes in recent months, and I do intend to cover it more now that we hear about some more bans, which I'll cover at some point later. And actually, this became a bit of a personal issue to me, the whole Android Apple saga, because I became an Android developer myself. Not the platform itself, but I do develop for the Android operating system. So I did familiarize myself with quite a few of the tools and the internals of the projects, and the code and the APIs and things like that. And in fact, I'm seeing a lot of great and extremely convenient tools to utilize to try and in fact put applications to market in a very rapid, user-friendly way. User-friendly in the sense that installation is quite a breeze, and in fact, you don't have to worry about compiling things, you don't have to worry about different distributions or even different versions, although once you compile things, you do know that the compatibility is going to be limited for what you're developing for. But I'm not going to go into technical details like that. I did buy a tablet to actually test my development to work on as of late, but it's not really a matter of myself on the show. Obviously, we do intend to do some reviews in the future. We are going to look at a few perspectives on what Android is, and what it means to the users, and whether it's competitive, and whether it's going to appeal to the user to the extent it's going to topple Apple and Microsoft. And I actually found Android to be kind of it's a very limited experience. I can see the appeal of Android to somebody like my parents. No offense to them, but they use the computer in a very basic way, one task at a time. Very typical type of tasks, so browsing, email, things like that. As soon as you're talking about something like development and multitasking with IRC channels and actually things like email clients, calendaring, and everything going around on the screen at the same time for you to actually be productive, it's the Android operating system. Even on tablets, it's just quite atrocious. I mean, even getting copy and paste to work, you need to install some stuff to get that working, and even then it's very tedious to use. So I don't know what to say. The keyboard is terrible. I never liked on-screen keyboards, and it doesn't matter how many times people tell you, this is a very advanced keyboard, and and you can it's a big screen, so you can kind of put all your fingers on it. It's just you really have to have the keyboard in your hands to use tactile and to actually use methods of typing that make it as fast as talking. So I can pretty much type as fast as I talk, but when it comes to the tablet, it's really just like writing an SMS message. It's just very tedious, and getting typos and stuff is very, very easy to do. If you don't really have much more experience, or maybe you get some external keyboard, maybe that's the only thing that's going to make it practical to use. So, I'm going to first, start with a bit of a break, I suppose, a song. I should mention that the way I record this show now, none of this is scripted, and we had this ideology since we started doing TechBytes, the first episode. We said we are never having any second takes. Once we start, this is it. I do have a few topics I want to go through, just a very sketchy type of plan of things I want to go through, and I'll go through a few of them after the break.
I'm on the mend, I'll be around to see if you would like a chance for love again. From ocean to desert sand, we'll travel across the world because it's spinning in our hand. Wherever we lay down our bedrolls as our home, we don't need much, we've got it all. We'll travel the world somehow, from mountain tops to cityscapes. We're in our dream house now. I've been a lonely gypsy, and you're looking mother hipsy. I'll follow you till I'm tipsy, from San Diego to Poughkeepsie. Let's get this party started. Our ship has now departed from San Diego to the planets that they have not charted. I'm on the mend, I'll be around to see if you would like a chance for love again. We'll travel the world somehow, From mountain tops to cityscapes, we're in a dream house now.